After 17 years, we can finally sit in Minecraft. It's an update there. Do you prefer to sit on the cake or... Wait, that's the wrong script. And the thing is, this update goes way beyond that. Microsoft announced that it wants to invest more than ever in Minecraft, and interestingly, one of the game's most absurd and mysterious structures has simply disappeared. The end rings, that gigantic formation, were removed after almost 8 years. If they're messing with the end dimension, could we finally see the long-awaited end update? Meanwhile, update 26.3 has just been completed, and in my opinion brought some of the most interesting drops in recent times. Did Mojang really put in the work? Much more than an autumn forest, a radioactive cave, or literally hundreds of new blocks, this update answers requests that the community has been making for many years. And an important detail, maybe the guys will start crying now, but Minecraft will stop running on old computers, so go ahead and comment an F down below for this historic breakup between old PCs and the blocky game. Update 26.3 evolves around three main ideas: the new Dappled forest biome, the abandoned camps, and a batch of blocks focused on building and decoration. The first one aims to create a biome set in autumn, with a palette dominated by orange and reddish tones. Because of this, there's completely new vegetation and red bushes covering the ground with much more color. And scattered across the trunks, you'll also find shellfish mushrooms, which are basically mushrooms that grow on the sides of trees and give the forest a look that's very different from any other biome in the game. And as if that wasn't enough, the terrain generation was changed to create a unique environment, not just an old forest with different colored leaves and trunks, which has happened before. And of course, with that we get a complete set of planks, logs, wood, doors, trapdoors, fences, gates, signs, buttons, and so on. For those who like to build, you know how much a new wood palette can completely change the style of a build. But in my opinion, the real star of this biome isn't even the wood, it's the shellfish mushroom. It may seem like an ordinary mushroom at first, but a brief interaction reveals it does much more. It can be prepared to serve as food, and it also has its own jumping mechanic, allowing the player to use the block as a kind of platform to reach higher places. It's a new decorative item that's useful in gameplay, but the update's biggest highlight may be a completely new structure found throughout the world, not just in the biome. The so-called abandoned camps can appear in almost any biome, and they work as small shelters for explorers. They usually have a tent, a campfire, some chests, a straw bed. Hold on, we'll talk about that in a moment. Cushions, and some basic supplies. The idea is that the player finds an improvised shelter during an adventure, as if another explorer had been there before and simply never came back. And it's exactly inside these camps that one of the most requested blocks by the community in recent years appeared. No exaggeration, we're talking about the new cushions. Finally, Mojang has added an official way to sit in Minecraft, without having to rely on hidden boats or mods. The community is already taking advantage of this in different ways, using it for example as a means of transportation by placing one cushion in front of the other and right-clicking to move really fast. Or even recreating generational images and memes, like the one where you have to choose between sitting on the cake or eating the cake, and so on. The possibilities are endless, and it won't take long for cool things to start showing up. Cushions can be made in all 16 wool colors, appear naturally at campsites, and let players feel like they're really sitting on them. It's a simple mechanic, but it opens up a huge range of decoration options. Real sofas, bleachers, rest areas, picnic tables, and all kinds of furniture, without having to rely on old tricks. And besides this fan service, Mojang also fulfilled another long-standing request from the community. Now the game also features wool stairs and slabs in all 16 colors. It's a simple change, but it removes a decade-old limitation. Now it's much easier to create any decorative item using the wool color palette, without improvising with mismatched blocks. And well, for those who don't know, this update was divided into 7 major snapshots, and basically most of what you've seen refers only to snapshot 1, while the next 6 snapshots kept coming, expanding and bringing new ideas. Moving on to snapshot 2, the main new feature was the straw bed. Its idea is extremely simple, but it makes a lot of sense for exploration and solves a big problem that the community had for a long time. It's made with hay bales and can be used to spend the night. Right after that, it disappears. And the most important detail is that it doesn't reset the player's respawn point, meaning it's a temporary solution for those exploring far from home but don't want to risk losing their spawn point just to spend the night. Can you avoid phantoms with a simple and portable item? In Snapshot 3, Mojang turned its attention to abandoned campsites, which at first glance were a bit repetitive. And that's exactly why they received new layouts, got new tent models, and a much more varied loot distribution. In practice, this makes each discovery feel a bit more unique. And jumping straight to Snapshot 5, we have a nerdier detail but a very important one. Any longtime player noticed that as updates went by, the game's FPS only decreased because we kept getting more and more resource-intensive updates. And with that, we had an important step from Mojang, like the definitive replacement of the old renderer based on OpenGL with Vulkan, a much more modern graphics API and ready for future features, like more vibrant visual effects, basically those shaders that promise to make everything look much better. And this change went far beyond just a technical detail. For years, Minecraft Java was stuck with the limitations of OpenGL, while other games were already using more modern technologies to get more performance out of the hardware. With Vulkan, the goal is to lower workloads, better utilize multi-core processors, and enable more advanced graphical effects in the future. However, there is a price for this modernization. As Mojang moves forward with this transition, the game's minimum requirements are also increasing. After years, the minimum specs have finally been updated. Now the RAM has jumped from 4GB to 16GB, which is quite significant. If there used to be a meme that any potato PC could run Minecraft, we've known for some time that's not really true. Computers that rely on old graphics cards without Vulkan support are no longer compatible with the latest versions of the Java edition. In other words, for a lot of players, this update didn't bring any new blocks. It brought the need to upgrade their hardware. Basically the Trojan horse. If you've watched the Odyssey, leave a comment below about what you thought of the movie. Even though it's a long film, I personally liked it, but anyway. Now let's move on to Snapshot 6, which brought exploration back into the spotlight. We had some improvements to camps, forests, a reorganization of the world creation options interface, but what caught my attention the most was an almost invisible change. While a lot of people were discussing concrete stairs and cushions, Mojang made a much more subtle change to the end's terrain generation algorithm, and along with it, after almost 8 years, the so-called end rings disappeared. If you've never heard of them, don't worry, 99% of players never found them. The end rings were gigantic rings that appeared naturally because of the way the algorithm generated the terrain in the dimension. They could be hundreds of thousands of blocks away, so finding them during a normal game was practically impossible, and that's why they were also called the Farlands of the End. As you know, in the normal world, we had that bizarre generation that was later replaced by a boring blue barrier. In the end, it wasn't much different, and let's be honest, those rings were bizarrely fascinating. But that's fine. After all, why would anyone care about a formation? One that almost no one has ever seen. The problem is that the fact that Mojang removed these rings raised an almost immediate question. Why? The simplest explanation is that they were just an unintended consequence. If the system changed, the rings disappeared as a side effect. But why did this happen after almost 8 years? And that's when the theories start to take shape. After all, it's been a long time since the dimension has received any real updates. Since 2016, when we got N-Series, the ships and elytras, the place has pretty much stayed the same. Meanwhile, the Nether was completely revamped in 2020, getting 4 brand new biomes, new mobs, new mechanics, and even netherite, which changed the game forever and brought back the Minecraft hype at the time. In the overworld, it was no different with the trial chambers and countless additions. The End, on the other hand, has remained almost frozen in time. The Ender Dragon, for example, is an absurdly easy final boss to defeat, while in other games like Minecraft Dungeons, the End is explored much more, with new variations of Enderman, new structures and many new items, all in a very epic way. And well, that's where the dilemma comes in. Are these adjustments just code cleanup, or the first step toward a complete overhaul? One of the most popular ideas is the creation of new biomes for the End, just like what happened in the Nether. Instead of the almost empty islands as we know them today, many people imagine completely different regions, with alien vegetation, unique rock formations and colors that reinforce the feeling of being in another dimension. Another recurring speculation involves new structures. After defeating the Ender Dragon, the dimension is practically deserted. That's why many people believe that a future update could add new mobs, some peaceful, others hostile, making exploration much more interesting than just looking for an end city. There are also those who hope for an expansion of the structures themselves. End cities are still some of the best places to get elytras, but they are practically the only relevant structure in the dimension. A revamp could bring ruins, temples, ancient laboratories, or even brand new complete structures that would even reinforce the game's lore, just like the Arden update, which brought that cave and the deactivated portal, and many new things that really got every player's imagination going. Another very popular theory involves the terrain itself. Many players imagine the end with islands in much more varied shapes. Large floating cliffs, hanging caves, and regions connected by natural bridges, making exploration less repetitive than just crossing huge empty spaces. We're discussing the final dimension, a mysterious and important place. Who built the End cities? Where did the Enderman originate? How are they connected to the Ender Dragon? To this day, the game has never answered these questions, so an update of this scale would be incredibly rich in content and a perfect opportunity to expand this side of Minecraft. In my opinion, that's exactly what the game needs for a new wave of hype. Even so, it's worth emphasizing, none of these ideas have been confirmed by Mojang yet. They exist because the community has been discussing an update for years and because any change in the generation of this dimension ends up being seen as a possible sign that something bigger is being prepared. And to further corroborate this news, several news outlets recently reported comments from the Xbox CEO saying that she sees Minecraft as one of the main pillars of Xbox's future. She even went so far as to say that she believes Minecraft has received much less investment than it should have, while other games like Roblox have invested more than 5 times as much in their growth. In short, the Xbox CEO herself says that Microsoft wants to invest in Minecraft. All of this creates hype and sparks theories. Could the existence of games like Hytale, for example, have motivated Microsoft to pay closer attention to one of its flagship products, if not the most downloaded and played game in history? Anyway, go ahead Mojang, we are ready. That update really motivated us even more. And we finally reached Snapshot 7, right before the final and official release of version 26.3. After almost 9 years since concrete was added to the game, the block finally got stairs and slabs in all 16 colors. It seems incredible to think that one of the most used palettes for modern builds went so long without these variants, so it's not hard to understand why so many people celebrated this addition. In addition, now among the stack documents it's possible to find special maps that point to other structures, such as ancient cities, woodland mansions, pyramids, trial chambers, and several other points of interest. But it was right after Snapshot 7 that a small controversy started in the community, both in Mojang's official article and in posts made on social media. This version was introduced with the arrival of the so-called final features, meaning the final update features entering the testing phase. With that, a lot of people concluded that 26.3 is simply over and there are no more new features ahead. But it's good to remember that this term doesn't exactly mean that. Even though we treat it as the end, when Mojang talks about final features, they're saying that the content planned up to that point has entered the final stage of testing, not that development has ended. And that makes a big difference, because nothing stops us from still getting small additions before the final version. For example, around September. And this situation has happened before. In the Chaos Cubed update, Mojang used exactly the same wording during Snapshot 6. At the time, it also seemed like all the content had already been revealed, but in practice, that's not what happened. In the following snapshots, important new features still appeared. Mojang tested a friends list, a really cool feature that ended up being removed, but that would have allowed multiplayer without mods or other programs. And as if that wasn't enough, Snapshot 8 also brought a pretty significant gameplay change, making sulfur caves generate on the surface as well. For example, something that a lot of people want and theorize about is the addition of brown bears, which would fit really well with the autumn biome, but there's no indication that this could happen. The point is, even though a lot of people are treating this as the end of the 26.3 additions, nothing stops a last-minute surprise. And among the most talked about guesses is a possible black fox, a variant of Yabusa that fits perfectly with the look of the Dappled forest. And an interesting detail that reinforces this expectation is that unlike what happened with Chaos Cubed, Update 26.3 hasn't even received an official name yet. It might not seem like much, but usually Mojang reveals its name when the announcement cycle is much further along. I'm hyped, I'm rooting for it, and not be surprised by something more impactful in the coming months. And in fact, while I was making this video, Snapshot 8 was released on the Minecraft website, a snapshot that at first glance didn't bring anything eye-catching. Just some technical additions, some bug fixes. But I, personally, think all of this is very good, very cool, because not long ago we had Chaos Cubed, which brought the sulfur cubes, so the game isn't slowing down. Microsoft is going to keep working on our blocky game. And Davi himself, for example, is already taking advantage of the new updates, making a pool table with Vinicius 13, Napoleon and Rato. It was a very exciting match that just shows the potential of the community.
Let's go!
Well, at least I went for it, alright.
Man, it's tough. I can't hit that ball.
No, you can do it. Just hit it hard.
But you only have upper core strength, so you might not have enough power.
Come on, man, with the diamond. Let's go. Just break off a small piece. Take apart the table, he says, to set up the table. Take apart the little piece of the table. You put together a little piece. You put it together. There, he's a genius. He's a genius. This kid is a genius. This kid is a genius. He really is. Man, the problem with this distance here, Hugao. I thought he was going to nail the shot, man.
It's landing in a tough spot. I've hit it hard so it comes back and doesn't stay.
Good, perfect. Afraid of nailing the shot. Good. No. Sopa here, Sopa.
It wasn't.
It's okay, Sopa.
Sopa. How do you do this one now? I think it's going to be hard, huh? No, it's going to work, look. It'll hit and return. Did he snooker him too? I don't believe it. It didn't hit. It hit, Davi was watching, look. It hit, Davi was watching. It hit, I saw it. It did hit. Do you think it will fall in the middle there?
Mumbai man, it has to be now, right?
From up there, it was good, even better, but it went straight through.
That shot's too tough for him, man. Way too hard.
No, just pay attention here.
How do you do it? But show how you do it. Go on, Davi. Teach us.
Ha, he fixed the ammo, Nah, that's not going to work. It won't, man. He fixed it, Davi. He fixed it.
Damn, man.
Go slowly, Lato. Para boa. Relax, let it stop.
Calma.
What the heck, man? I was as careful as possible, dude. How is that possible? Both games are tied again on the 8-ball. Huh, this 8-ball is crazy, huh?
Aim for her left side, but not too hard, so she doesn't hit the rail. That's it.
No. Drop, for God's sake. No! I give up. Dude, are you serious? Rato? Oh my god, I'm sorry, man. What did I do? No, you won't make it, no. He's going to hit really hard, man. Don't worry. Look, check it out. Really hard, look. Goodbye. Damn, my arm, man.
If you made it this far, please like and follow me on Instagram at A-77. A-77.